What is up, guys, and welcome to the Meeple Minded podcast, the podcast where we talk all things tabletop gaming. My name is Jason.
And I'm James.
How are you doing this week, James?
Yeah, not too bad, Jason. Not too bad.
Good. Have you had a fun, fulfilling week of work?
If my employer is listening, yes. It's all right, they're not.
I mean, you're quite lucky in that sense, because I know at least a couple of my employers do, and I mean, yeah, it's not been a good couple of weeks, really. So, but they already know about that, and yeah, they got told a few things. But you know, we're not here to talk about work, are we?
We are not.
No, we're not. We'll keep to a positive this week, James. It's not our strongest suit, but we will. Well, actually, we can't promise to keep to a positive because it is a game highlight episode.
Yes.
So there may be some negativity, but who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? We will find out.
We will indeed. But what have you been up to this week, James? Much on? No. You don't really do much, really, do you, when you're not working?
No.
We know you're a PC gamer and all that, but you know you're still playing the same games that you talk about before, so there's no point in asking about them again. But yeah, I've had a fulfilling couple of weeks in outside of the tabletop hobby, because I've got back into retro gaming. It's been a while. But yeah, I turned one of my old Android phones into a handheld gaming machine, and I've been enjoying totally legal emulators.
Oh, yeah.
Of
Totally. Absolutely nothing wrong with those.
No, not at all. I mean, I would happily buy the official, emulator consoles, but the main one I want is the N64, and they've never done one. They've got a legal Mega Drive, which I am going to buy. They've got a legal SNES, which I'm going to buy. But the N64 is the main one that I really wanted to emulate from my childhood, and you can't get an official emulator for it. And this is a big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo needs to sort that out, 100%. But, I mean, do you ever get into any retro gaming yourself, or is it not really your cup of tea?
I do have, not in the handheld variety, I do have, I think it's a Game Boy Advanced one on my PC.
I mean, the only Game Boy game you ever really need to play is Pokemon, right?
Yeah, that's exactly why I got it.
Yeah, I've gone into Pokemon as well, because who doesn't love a classic game of Pokemon? But the question is, James, which colour? Which Pokemon colour did you go for?
It's the Game Boy Advance one, which was it Fire Red and Leaf Green?
I think it was Fire Red and Leaf Green, yeah, because I think the original colour was
Red and Blue.
Red and Blue, and then eventually yellow.
Yep, which was blatantly made because of the anime.
Of course, yep. And then you had Fire Red, Leaf Green, which I believe was the Advanced. I know another one I used to play, which was further on down the line, was with the DS. I used to play Silver and Platinum. But other than that, I didn't really delve into all of them, because I kind of got to the point where it was like, they're all pretty much the same, and it's not Kanto region anymore, therefore I'm not interested. Which
is exactly the reason why I think I went for Fire Red and Leaf Green, because it was the originals. Because there are, I don't care, and I'm about to upset a lot of Pokemon people, there are only 151 Pokemon.
Well, I mean, I guess you're not like a full-on purist, where it's like, no, there's only 150, and then there's a mutant. There's a human creation in there, with Mewtwo. So, James, is it 150 or is it 150?
It's 151. It was still part of Kanto.
It was, yeah. It was part of the original series, yeah. Kanto region, yeah. 151.
Yep.
But yeah, from what I remember, Fire Red and Leaf Green, I'm sure they started to introduce a few extra Pokemon in that.
They might have done, but I don't think it went fully into the next region.
No. I always found, though, when I was playing games that weren't in the Kanto region, like you'd have those, a wild, whatever the hell this thing is, appears. It's like, I don't know that one, run away.
Yep.
Don't care about it. Could be the most powerful Pokemon around, for all I know, but no, I don't know it, go away.
Yep.
But yeah, gotta love a bit of Pokemon, James. Yeah. Gotta love a bit of retro gaming. I'm proper on that hobby.
Yep.
It's another expensive hobby, damn it.
I think, again, and on the same lines, I think I might actually have an N64 one on my computer as well, purely for Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I introduced my son to Pokemon Stadium this weekend.
Yep.
And he really enjoyed the little mini games that were on it, like the Rattata running ones, and and all of that. He absolutely loved it. And it was really good to see him playing it and enjoying it. Because it's like, well, he's coming up 10 years old, and this is the kind of stuff I was playing at his age.
Yep. But I still remember, I can show my age now, when that game first released, because I was a PlayStation person growing up.
Oh, scum.
I was a PlayStation person. And it was the very first time that I owned dual consoles because Pokemon Stadium came out and I went, I'll buy an N64 just for that game.
When I was younger, I wanted the Pikachu N64, the limited edition one they did, and I never got it, understandably. It was very expensive. And it's still very expensive because I looked the other day to see if I could get one. No. No, I will not. But I've been doing that mainly this week. Like, we managed to get a little bit of gaming in on Monday, didn't we?
We did.
It's very busy, but we didn't play anything new, really, did we? We just focused on learning some new characters for Unmatched, ready for the tournament at UK Games Expo, which we can now confirm we are booked in for.
Indeed.
Are you looking forward to that, James?
I am.
When was the last time you did anything tournament-based? Can you remember?
When we went down to Chichester?
I think it was Chichester, yeah. It was sort of Arundel way, so yeah, it must have been Chichester.
I think it was Chichester to do the Star Wars Destiny one.
Yes, indeed, yeah. The friendly tournament that wasn't all that friendly.
It really wasn't.
Yeah. World Championship decks all around, yeah. No.
TCGs, right?
I still did all right, though. I remember.
I mean, you did.
Well
you did, but yeah. It's just sort of like, I still remember it's like, no, this is just a friendly local tournament. It's like, yeah, you're turning up a World's deck to a friendly local tournament.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. The problem is, though, when there's prizes on the line, you can't stop people from doing it.
I mean, you can't, but it's like, it's not Worlds, so
yeah,
I can't say my opinions on that as this is a family-friendly show. But
yeah, so I'm guessing the phrase ends with off.
Yeah, it's not. It's not even like an officially it's just a local gaming store running a small local tournament, and it's like you're going to turn up with a World's deck.
Yeah. Some people need to be brought down a bit, but yeah,
it's I don't even think it's the fact that it's that powerful. It's the fact that someone's just gone copy paste. You haven't even put the effort into building the deck.
No, exactly. And we would actually sit and build decks.
Yeah, it's like no, you've just gone on, looked at what won the biggest tournament in this game, and went copy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that's just lazy.
Yep. It is quite upsetting, really, when people do that.
It is upsetting, but what is absolutely amazing, and I will revel in it every time it happens, is when someone beats it.
Yeah. Because you can have the best, air quote, best deck in the world, but at the end of the day, you've got to know how to play it.
You got to know how to play it, and I think it's one of the things I used to like about Destiny is a lot of the stuff. It's like the card in itself might be powerful, but there's a dice rolling mechanic in there.
There's still luck in there. Yeah.
Some of it is pure luck.
Yeah, and couple that with the fact that you've got to draw the right cards the right time. Obviously, there's cards that allowed you to find cards and all that kind of jazz.
But the fact that
there was still a draw element of luck, and then the rolling of dice luck.
Yeah, and you can't get around the dice roll luck. If the dice is not on your side,
exactly.
That deck might be considered very powerful, but if you can't roll the dice...
Yeah, exactly. God, I miss that game so much, James. I really do. I'd still, to this day, hold out hope that they will bring it back, but I saw the other day Fantasy Flight have announced a new Star Wars TCG, and it kind of diminished my hope just a little bit. I haven't really looked into it too much, because, again, it's a TCG. I tend to steer clear of them.
Yep.
But God help my bank if they ever do bring back Destiny, because I will need to continue my collection.
Yes.
Because obviously I have every card in multiple amounts up to this point. So, yeah, not looking forward to that. But other than the Unmatched, we haven't managed to play any other games this week.
No.
Work's been busy for both of us, and we had to sacrifice our table on Monday because it was very busy.
Mm-hmm.
But so no other games to talk about, really, of games that we played. But we can talk about, James, a game that we played this time last year.
We can.
And it's a game that we have indeed played recently, albeit with a new expansion. Because this time last year, James, we were talking about Zuli.
Yay!
It was this time last year. Can you believe it's been a year since we were talking about Zuli?
Oh, where's the time gone?
I know. I know, tell me about it. But there you go, Zuli this year. What are your thoughts on Zuli now, James? I know we've played it recently.
We have played it recently, which helps with the new expansion, as you said. So, yeah, still very much enjoyed it. I won.
You did win. I mean, we've talked about that before, James, so we don't need to talk about it again. You don't want to come across as like a sour winner or anything like that, you know?
Only because that's usually you.
Well, I mean...
I revel in my victory because it's rare.
It's rare for a reason, James, and that's because you're a good friend. You allow me to win.
I really don't.
It's like saying, James, I'm just more brainy than you. I can see how the games work. And I go, I do that. And James is sitting there going, what?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very cute way of saying you do far more gaming than I do.
Yeah. But we don't, well, I mean, I do admit that all the time, to be fair. But yeah, Zuli, I'm still proper high on this game. I love it.
I do. So I do enjoy it.
It's another game, to be honest. It's because, again, it's a small box. I think it's going to be in my bag for Expo this year. I'm really hoping that Unfringed will be there again. It'd be good to catch up with them. I need to maybe purchase one of the new boxes that they made, because the new version 2 boxes actually listened to some feedback that we gave during that episode, James, which was, I guess, a comment I make about every card game, but that the box wasn't big enough for once you'd sleeve the cards.
Yep.
So when they actually released the new retail box, one, it comes with the expansion.
Yep.
But they've also made the box big enough to house sleeved cards.
Excellent.
So really happy they actually heard that. That's really cool. So I need to make sure I get one of them now, because I've rather destroyed the old box because I decided to put all the cards into a deck box, but didn't want to lose the artwork, so I ended up defacing the box, cutting images out and sticking it on my deck box. So I don't actually have a box for that anymore.
Yeah. Plus, if they went through the effort of redesigning the box, because we mentioned it, you probably should buy it.
Yeah, it would be rude not to.
It would.
Yeah. I need a new score pad as well, because, it's been played a fair bit now, so need to make sure I get another one of those. But, yeah, that's the game we played last year, James. Thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent stuff. Me too. Shall we move on to the main event for this episode, James?
Yeah, let's do it.
For those of you that have read it, obviously, you can see that we're going to be talking about Library Labyrinth. We've been playing it a lot recently. So let's dive into our game highlight.
Is he going to get the right button?
He is going to get the right button because he's actually removed the other button for now. So, yes.
So I am eagerly anticipating our next topical when you are madly looking at that going, what happened to the button?
No. What I've done, James, is very, very clever. There's banks of soundboards. But they've now got their own soundboards. What I'll have to do is remember to change them. But problem for another day, that is, sir. But yes, today, James, we are talking about Library Labyrinth. What is Library Labyrinth? Library Labyrinth is a cooperative grid movement pick-up and deliver style game released by Dissent Games in 2023. The game is designed to be played by 1 to 5 players aged 10 and up with an estimated playtime of around 30 to 45 minutes. And at the time of the recording, you cannot pick this game up for any kind of value because it's not currently out at retail. It's only just finished delivering to the Kickstarter backers, but I am assured that this will be coming to some form of retail, and possibly for those of you that will be attending UK Games Expo, there should indeed be some copies there for sale. And you can guesstimate that you'll be paying around the £30 mark. I know the Kickstarter was of £29. Things might have gone up a little bit since then, but around the £30 to £40 mark. In Library Labyrinth, players are immersed into a literary world as you have accidentally unleashed a magical bookworm which is now wreaking havoc within the library, opening the books and bringing the literary terrors to life. And all librarians' worst nightmares is also turning the bookshelves around. Players must work together to build a team of fictional and historical characters to recapture the terrors and return them to their paper-bound kingdoms before the timer runs out. That is a very brief overview of what you do in Library Labyrinth, but what comes in the box when you are eventually able to purchase this game, James?
Okay, Jason. In the box, you get 30 octagonal floor tiles of various types, 15 reward cards, 60 book cards of various colour, 31 disturbance cards, 24 square terror tokens, 6 square shelf tokens, 1 current player token, 1 pass and action token, 5 colourful player meeples, a white trolley meeple, and a grey bookworm meeple, along with 5 player aid cards and a solo player aid card.
Fantastic. So there's a fair bit in the box, but it's not a huge box.
No.
This is about half the size of a regular board game box, I'm guessing. Maybe 15 centimetres, something like that. Not the best at randomly guessing sizes, but yeah, it's quite a small box, and there's a lot packed into that little box. But before we go into the contents, James, let's talk about the rulebook just a little bit. You've got it there in front of you. Does it look good to you? Does it feel like it's been well written and stuff like that?
It's got some really good illustrations in it, which is I really like. It's got different color backgrounds for the different phases of the game. That's quite good. So you can't, rather than a wall of text, you know when you're moving.
Yeah, it clearly defines the sections as you go through, which is pretty good.
Yeah, but it's not obtrusive color either, where it makes the text hard to read. It's quite muted, but it's enough of a distinction to go, I'm moving into a new section.
Yeah, it's more pastel colors behind it, isn't it, from what I remember? Yeah,
which is very good. The actual illustrations, especially of the board tokens and that, are quite blown up, so they're very clear to see.
Yep.
The actual instructions are quite detailed. So yeah, I think it's a very good rulebook.
Yeah, no, and I would say as someone who obviously has read through the rules and then had to teach them, everything you kind of need is kind of there really early on.
Yep,
in the book.
It's got an FAQ in the back, which is...
Oh, it does. It does. There is, so everything you need is in there.
Yeah.
You know, and to get the game set up and playing, it's a couple of pages.
Yeah.
It's really not a lot.
Personally, I think that's something that should be in every rule book, because a lot of these game companies playtest their games at various events.
Mm-hmm.
During those playtests, they're going to get questions on rules and stuff.
Yeah.
So an FAQ in the back of the most prominent ones.
Yeah.
I think that's a big markup in the rulebook for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously the back page in it is quick reference as well, which is awesome, coupled with the fact that you have your individual player aid cards as well. So there's a lot of information there for all players at a quick glance, which is really, really good. As I said, the game is taught very, very well from that rulebook as well. I think the art styling on the game and more importantly, the rulebook here, it's the same cover art that you've got on the box, which is really nice, bright, colourful. I really love that purple background to the box.
One other thing about the rulebook as well, I'm a big fan when people do this. The QR code on the back, if you don't want the... If you
can't be asked to read, watch a video.
Or a searchable PDF.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, very, very good.
Multiple formats.
Good. It's the future. The future indeed. But, okay, so let's talk about the setup very, very quickly. I did allude to it a little bit. The setup for this game is pretty easy. I believe it's on page 3. There's a nice little table which asks you how many players you've got, tells you how many cards you need, and then it gives you 4 different levels of difficulty, which tells you, again, which tiles you need. And then, boom, off you go. You set it up in a 5x5 grid with your centre tile in the middle. Most of the tiles will be face down to start the game. All your meeples go in the middle, and boom, you are off to the races. It's a quick setup, 2 minutes, and yeah, you're ready to game, which, fantastic little setup. So, components, James. Components. We love our components here.
We do love our components.
So, I'm just going to quickly open the box, and here we go. Now, I'll give you a couple of seconds, James, to have a quick look through, see if there's anything that stands out to you while I talk about a few things. I've already talked about the artwork. The artwork is absolutely stunning in this game. I think the theme itself is pretty cool as well. It's not something that I'm used to seeing in a game.
No, the theme is quite unique.
You know, that whole sort of library side of things, and more that everything is based around the books. And more importantly in this game, the characters. Because one thing we haven't mentioned yet, James, is all of the characters that you're using to recapture the books, they're all female.
Yes.
Every single one of them, which is very, very different. You know, it may rub some people up the wrong way. I'm sure it will. But by the same token, how many games have we said in the past where there's been multiple characters to choose from?
Yeah.
You know, up to 10 in some circumstances, and there's either none or one female character. You know, for far too long we've been saying that female board gamers have got no representation. Really within the hobby.
I do like the fact that it's quite educational as well. Like you pick up the book cards, you do get a little blurb about the person.
Yeah. And on that note as well, James, I know you haven't personally looked at it. It was going to be my next point, actually, is there is a second booklet within this game. And within said booklet, it's actually thicker than the rule book. It highlights every single character that is within this game, including the terrors, and gives you a backstory to what those characters have done and stuff like that, because it's not just fictional characters here, James. We're talking about...
Yeah, some of them are...
real life people that have done amazing things.
Well, as you would expect in a game themed around magic and people being drawn out of books. Not every book is fictional.
No, exactly. You know, I won't go through every category here, but we've got characters that are under the section of amazing lives. We've got children's fiction. We have just classic fiction, historical leaders, and the such. Obviously, you've got your terrors in here as well. So it's not just banging on about, you know, the female characters. It does give you the backstory of all the terrors and stuff as well.
Yep.
So there's a lot of education that comes from this game, even without trying.
Yes.
You know, you don't have to read this, but it's a really nice inclusion. I was really happy to see that, because one of the things about this game, Joes, it is quite family friendly. And I feel genuinely that if you're going to get kids playing this game, they are probably going to have questions about certain characters. And there is your educational side of it straight away. It's there. We can read all about this person. So that's a really nice inclusion. The punch board in the game, the tiles that make up your library, they are pretty average there, you know, average thickness. They did punch out really, really well, nice and cleanly. There's no sort of burr marks or anything like that. And considering this has been played a fair bit recently, they've stood up to the test of time and been handled quite a bit by a variety of hands, not just myself, you know, trying to look after my games. But other than that, I'll just say, for carrying on from the stuff that I like, I have sleeved my cards, but I didn't feel like I had to in this. And I can see you've been looking at the cards there, James.
Yeah.
Anything that's particularly standing out to you in this game?
Well, the artwork, as you've mentioned several times, is very good. I keep going back to the educational side of it as well. I also like the fact that all of these characters, if you will, both real and fictional, are also worldly, shall we say. They're not the traditional Western-only characters. I mean, you know, to my detriment, I've never heard of half of these.
No.
But... you know, it's nice.
But again, this is where I think it goes back to what I was saying about the little booklet and the education that's on the cards.
Yeah, but it's nice.
I've looked at this character. Well, who's this character? Oh, you don't know? Here's the education for you. Now you know about this character.
Yeah, and it's nice that they've gone into a whole bunch of different cultures.
Correct, yeah.
To have them included.
Yeah.
You know, there's some that I recognise and some that I wouldn't have a clue who they are.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and it is an awesome thing. Again, the educational thing is something that I think more games could do with. But yeah, is that your standout feature? Is the education that's coming from the components?
Definitely.
Okay, cool. Anything you don't like?
Component wise, I can't actually say there is.
Okay.
Even down to the meeples are quite nice.
They are.
The card stock's really good. The punch board's good. The artwork is good.
Yep. It comes with a nice sort of...
it's like almost like a burlap sack.
Yeah. I can never remember the actual terminology for those things, but so quite a nice little bag.
Yeah.
To store the meeples and stuff in. I have a couple of things. The bookworm that comes in the game, the bookworm meeple, and even on the sack itself, is that it looks like a dragon. It doesn't look like a bookworm. You know, that's the only thing. It's a silhouette style picture, and yeah, for me, it just looks like a dragon. It doesn't look like a worm to me. And everyone we've played with has gone, "What's the dragon?" It's like, no, it's a bookworm. So again, it changes nothing about the game other than it looks like a dragon, which, if I'm honest, I like dragons. That's not a bad thing. But one thing, James, and it is probably obvious I was going to bring it up. The game came with a really nice box insert.
Yes.
And full respect for that. I really liked the box insert. The problem was, as soon as I punched the tiles out, they didn't fit back in the box. So the only way to get everything back in the box was to throw out the box insert, and now everything is loose in the box. I mean, there's so much in there that it's not really loose. It's all, the box is full, especially with the sleeve cards that I've done as well. But yeah, as soon as I punched those tiles out, there's nowhere for me to put them. So that was a bit of a downer for me, unfortunately. Other than that, though, components-wise, absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Absolutely love it. So, James, the all-important gameplay.
The gameplay.
What do you like about this game, James? Because I think you were pleasantly surprised when you first played this.
I was, despite the fact that it mercilessly beat us.
It did. I mean, in my defense, I didn't give you the full-on hard mode. I took you up to level 3. And yeah, it mercilessly beat us, 3 times in a row, I think. Which, yeah, hands up, yeah, we lost.
Yeah.
But the next time we played it, James, we did win.
I
did bring it down to the next level, where we won quite easily. So, how do you think the game scales for difficulty with regards, considering you've only tried level 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Out of 4.
So, I would imagine that level 1 is for absolute beginners.
The very first time I played it, that's the level I played, and it was over very, very quickly.
Yeah. Level 2 for us was manageable.
Mm-hmm.
Level 3 beat us mercilessly, so I don't want to even think about level 4.
Yeah. I think it's a tough one here, really, because I don't want to say it's a negative, but I'll jump in and say, if I'm going to pick a negative, this is the one and only negative I'm going to bring up. The difference between level 1 and 2 was negligible. I didn't feel like there was actually a difference. They were both really easy. The difference between level 2 and 3 was steep. I don't know whether that's just because we had a bad day, but there was 3 very experienced players playing the game. And yeah, we got hit quite hard.
Yeah.
During those games. And it wasn't through the lack of cooperation or anything like that. We were playing fully cooperative.
We basically couldn't keep the board under control, even with 3 of us.
No, exactly. So for me, that is, I'll just say it, spoiler, it's my only negative for the gameplay, is the difficulty levels are a bit unbalanced, as weird as it is to say. But other than that, the game is really quick.
Yep.
It says 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah. I do almost view the difference in difficulty scaling as a negative like you do. But the flip side of that is it makes me determined to beat level 3.
Yeah.
And then level 4.
So I guess the next question, James, is when we play this again, because I'm sure we will, what level would you want to play it at?
3.
Would you ever play it at less than 3 going forward?
No. Because I now have a goal.
Yeah.
It's like, I will beat this game.
And then you have level 4 to beat, James.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. There's a challenge here.
There is a challenge. It's the bookworm. The bookworm was just triggering so much stuff. And it is that whole once there are 6 terrors.
Yeah. See, now, again, the bookworm is probably another positive I think I'm going to bring up. Because I love how it moves after every turn. And, it reveals tiles.
Yep.
That, around it and then moves. Now, obviously, by revealing tiles, the second a terror tile comes out, a new terror is added to the board. And one of the lose conditions, James, is if any point 6 terrors are on the board, instant loss.
Yep.
No end of turn, so you don't get to the end of the turn to try and take a terror off the board. It's like, no, the second a 6th one is on that board, game over, you lose.
Yep.
Now, for me, that was one of the most pleasurable parts about the game because it added an element of pressure.
Yes.
And, it forced that cooperation. It's like, well, right now we've got 5 on the board, right? I'm really going to struggle to beat one of these. What do we do? Because I could sacrifice my entire turn and hopefully, if I've, get the right cards, I might hopefully be able to take one of them off the board. Or do we risk it for a chocolate biscuit and let that bookworm reveal a tile and hope
that it's not
anything but a terror? And it's just, right, we need to have a discussion, because if I do the wrong thing here, it's game over for all of us. However, if we risk it, I know that you, James, you can kill at least one of them or capture one, but in order to do it easily, I can use one of my actions to gift you a card while I'm on your space, or I can hand you an extra action, so that you can then complete it. There's a lot of, like I said, the cooperation in the game is very, very good. I like the ability to move, pass an action to the next player. I like the ability to pass cards between players, providing you're on the same space.
Yep.
That's really, really cool. How did you find that?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it is, like, as we've said, it is a fully cooperative game. And the fact that there is so many mechanics for cooperating is a massive positive.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't know, I think that's, again, it's a detriment to a lot of co-op games that I've played. It's like you might be cooperating towards the same objective, but a lot of them don't actually have that many mechanics for cooperating.
No, this
like
is very
that
true.
Ability to hand over actions, it's like, or cards or things like that. It's like, okay, well, this person has a better chance of actually doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So it is nice to have the extra abilities in there to pass actions as well. Would you say it's quite a strategic game?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah, I mean, that was going to be positive for me.
Yeah.
Like, strategy out the wazoo here. And not just individual player strategy, as we've said. So, do you think then, being that this is a very strategic game, that you would be at a detriment if you were playing with someone who maybe suffers from analysis paralysis, or maybe isn't so used to making strategic decisions?
No, because of that real cooperative aspect of it. Because once you're past the initial first round, I would say, where the entire library is in the dark.
Yep.
And you basically have to go out and explore. Once you've had 3 or 4 people have done that, and you've through the first round, you have a general idea. The board is in play. You've probably revealed at least one drop-off point.
Yeah.
By that point, and you've revealed some terrors. So it's almost at the start of the second round. It's right before we go into this. What are we all doing?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you've touched on a couple of points there, James, with regards to gameplays. When those tiles are revealed, yes, they do reveal terrors, but there's also how you reveal the drop-off points.
Yeah.
And the other thing to bear in mind is you might sort of think, I was like, well, it's fine. I'll just keep capturing stuff until the drop-off points, because you can't do that because you have a maximum hold space of 6.
And I like that is all items. So that's terrors, that's book cards, that's loot cards.
Yeah, and
you can hold 6 things.
Yeah, and you need those book cards to capture stuff.
Yes.
So obviously you can't just fill your stock up with terrors, because then you've got literally nothing else you can do, because you can't draw cards.
I'd say, I mean, if you were mathing it out, I would say 3 at a push you could hold with space for 3 book cards.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if you were required to hold 3 to the point that you weren't able to drop any of them off, it means you're not revealing enough tiles to start with.
You've had a really unlucky random draw, and
they're all in one corner and you're at the other corner.
Yeah, or they're all around the perimeter and you haven't got there yet.
Yeah. Now this is another thing, James, because movement in the game. This is something fairly unique to me.
I really like this aspect, considering I think I also understand why they've done movement the way they have, because on top of everything else, if you had limited movement like you do in most board games, you would lose.
Yeah, I think it would be a bit too punishing if you had limited movement. But I really like it, because movement in this game, James, is, as long as it is a lit corridor, connected corridors, i.e. flipped over tiles, they've got, one side is dark, the other side is lit. As long as that path from where you are to where you're going is 1, connected, 2, lit, and not going through a terror or a drop-off zone, you can do it in 1 move, even if it's corner to corner.
Yes. I also like that if you do land on a terror or a drop-off point, the trade-off for having to stop is if you have the ability to either drop off or capture, you can do it as a bonus.
Yes. Yeah, it just does it for free. Yeah. But obviously that's the other thing is that if you are going to go to a Terror, you can't do it unless you've got the stuff to capture it.
Yes.
So again, very, very intricate sort of design when it came to that whole movement aspect. But that's really, really cool because again, in our last game that we played, James, we had quite a few situations where I was useless to most things. You know, I wasn't getting the cards I needed to capture stuff, or the stuff that I was close to was the opposite symbology to what I needed. But you indeed did have it, and I was also quite close to the drop-off zone. Now, rather than you using actions to move, rotate tiles, and then move again, I was using my actions to create a straight line or a lit corridor for you to get to it and collect it in one move.
And that's where the co-op thing comes in. And that's why I would sort of say after the initial first round, you almost pause. All the players put their heads in the middle of the table and go, right, what are you doing? What are you doing? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And then, okay, we all know what we're doing. Go.
Yeah. And that aspect and that way that we played in that game was what really sold this game to me as a really good family-friendly game.
Yes.
Because, let's be honest, kids are going to want to be capturing stuff. You know, it's like, imagine you're playing this as a Ghostbusters game. They want to be the ones capturing the ghosts.
Yeah.
But are they going to be strategically minded enough to know how they're going to get there and how they're going to drop them off and stuff like that? That's where I think, like, maybe I'm playing with my son, for example. It's like, right, okay, I know he's going to want that. He's just going to need to draw books so that he's got the symbology that he needs, because symbols are easy. They're very, very clear. So kids will be able to understand that. I can spend my turns making it as easy as possible for him to be able to capture the terrors, and then make it as easy as possible for him to then drop off those terrors.
Yeah, I also like the way that it's very easy to understand the cards and the symbology. I mean, it also doubly helps just because you are the way you are, that you have sleeved all the cards
in the correct colour.
Yeah. But all of the terrors have a combination of symbols required to capture them. But I believe I'm right in saying that, like, if you need a blue symbol, for example, if you draw from the blue deck,
you're guaranteed
one.
Yes. Yeah, at least one, yeah. But not only blue, it will have other colours on it.
Other colours on it, but if it's, all right, I've got everything, but I just need the blue.
Yep.
I know that I can draw a blue card and be guaranteed that blue symbol.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas if you draw another colour, you're risking it. You'll guarantee that colour and then hope that you'll get a blue from it. But yeah, if you want just one blue, you guaranteed one every time you draw a blue card, or orange, purple, green, whatever. There's 6 different colour books within the game. You are right, I am quite sad. I've sleeved them in the correct colours. However, the card backs are colour-coded as well.
Yeah.
So if you don't decide to sleeve them, they are still on the table. They're still very clear what colours are what. If anything, I've made it more difficult because my sleeves are probably closer in coloration than the actual colour of the books.
There's still...
Like the pink, for example, in the game is a very vibrant pink.
Yeah.
Whereas the pink I've used is more sort of like a
magenta.
More of a magenta. Yeah.
But it's not close enough to the purple to be confused. No, not even close.
No, exactly. Obviously, playing in poor light probably not going to help. But that's
the way you've done it, the only ones you ever might confuse are the pink and the red.
Yes. Yeah. The red is a very darker type red with a little bit of a pinky hue to it. So that's always a bit of a pain. But let's talk about the terrors just very quickly, James. Did you find them to be quite varied? Like when they were revealed, you'd get some that were more powerful, some that weren't quite as powerful.
Yeah, I mean, like we've mentioned, it's done by the symbology. So strictly speaking, the terrors are the actual terror itself is fluff. And
it doesn't do anything.
And nothing but fluff. It's the symbols that actually matter for defeating it, and they are random.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, there are some in there that might require 6.
Yeah, so I mean, there are...
But some that only require 2.
I suppose there are things like that. It's like a difference between... That's their power level. The ones you would expect to be powerful require more symbols to take them down.
Yeah, things like Dracula and that, I think they're quite low-level terrors. So you 2 or 3 symbols in order to capture them. Whereas I'm just trying to think of one...
Let's pull a selection out.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So the Minotaur requires 6 symbols.
Yeah.
doubles at that as well. So 2 pinks, 2 oranges, and 2 greens.
Yeah. So again, that's quite a difficult one to, again, teamwork would be involved. It's like, well, I'm almost all the way to there, so I can spend my turn getting that.
Yeah. Cerberus is another one. Requires 6 symbols.
Yeah.
Where's the 3? There's a 4 symbol. The big bad wolf is a 4 symbol, so apparently not as big and bad as he thought he was. Apparently a tornado only requires 3 symbols to take down.
Oh, well, obviously, yeah. It's quite interesting that they put a tornado in there, which is really, really good. So one more thing I want to personally talk about with the gameplay, James, is that drop-off. Now, there are 6 symbols within the game. To win the game, you must remove one of each symbol from the game.
Yep, the drop-off point. So once you've returned 6 terrors to their books, you win.
You win, yeah. Now, as you've just said, those terrors have different symbols on.
Yes.
So I could get the Minotaur, for example, and deposit it at the pink, for example, which means the pink is then removed from the table.
Yep.
But if I haven't consulted with my team, James might actually have a terror that only has pink on there, which means that terror can now not be dropped off.
Yep.
And it is now clogging up a space in your hand for the rest of the game.
Especially if you are, say, halfway through, 2 symbols have already come off. Yet, like you said, you really need to go on. It's like, all right, okay, what does your one have on it? And what does my one have on it?
Yeah. Because
if we choose to drop off at the wrong point, one of us then can't drop off.
Yeah, exactly. So there is an element of hand management here as well.
Yes.
Because it's well, I can do this, yes, and it'll free up a space on me, but James has already caught 3. He's only got 3 spaces that he's playing with cards, and if I drop this one off, he physically can't
get rid of it,
at least one of them. So it's only clogging up one of my spaces. So in this turn, I'm going to allow James to deposit that one, and then I'll deposit one later.
But the flip side of that could be, say, we've both got one that's got pink on it, but the other 2 symbols, so it's a 3 symbol thing, and the other 2 are blue and green, which have already gone.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like you have to drop it there because the other
it's going to clog you up for the rest of the game.
Because the other 2 have gone.
Yeah.
So it's teamwork.
Yeah, and couple that in with the board management side of things as well. It's like, I really want to capture these things, but this one has got symbols on it that have all already been caught.
Yeah.
So that I will capture that one in order to maintain the board, but that is going to remove one of my 6 spaces for the rest of the game.
Yep.
And if you do that multiple times, and like you said, as the game progresses, that's more and more likely to happen.
Yep.
So it's a very, very thinky game, which I didn't expect it to be. I really, really didn't when I first got this game and when I first played it. My partner loves this game. She really, really does. We played it at Games Expo last year and she absolutely loved it. To the point that when this turned up, she saw one of my posts saying that it had turned up and literally she was like, we're playing that this weekend. 100% we're playing that. It's very rare that she will do that. So when it does happen, I know that we're on to a winner. And sure enough, we played it that weekend. She absolutely loved it. I know she wants to play it again and again and again, which is really, really good. Which means, for me, my copy it's going to have a lot of replayability.
Yeah.
But for you, James, do you think the replay value of this game is there?
If I'm honest... At the moment, yes, because I'm determined to beat this on all 4 difficulty levels.
Yeah, okay.
And while that has not been achieved, I will want to play this game.
Yeah, okay. That's a good thing.
After, I think the replayability will drop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Not enough that once I've beaten level 4, effectively, to go, right, that's it, I don't need to play it anymore. Because it is a very enjoyable game. But I do think the interest will drop off once that has been achieved. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me personally, the standard definition of replay value, there's not a great deal there. However, I am kind of the same as you. As I am determined to beat this on all 4 levels. The replay value there as a game that myself and my partner will play, that's definitely there. Because, again, it's a game she's very passionate about. But as for the replay value being there in the sense of every game's going to be different, not really. There is replay value in the sense of there's a big pile of terrors, but with it being random, you don't know that the terrors that you got in the last game aren't just going to come out again.
Yeah.
You know, because you do shuffle them and you make a big stack and you're drawing them randomly.
Yeah.
If your luck is really bad, you might just draw the same ones every single time. It's unlikely, but it is possible. You know, so the replay value really comes from
they don't
the players. I think
the characters and the terrors don't fundamentally alter the game.
No,
I think is what we're saying for traditional replay value. So the game is the game, no matter what's on the board.
Yeah. Another thing that will change the game, and we won't touch on it too much, but there is treasures in the game, which adds special abilities.
Yeah, and they are very useful. Some of those are a double of a type of symbol.
Yeah, I love that because you get the choice. So, well, I could use it for this, or I could use it for this.
Yeah,
you know, but the downside being, again, it takes up a slot.
Yes,
in your hands,
and you do all start with one. That I quite like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a player ability, but it's an ever-changing player ability because every time you use it and you get another one, it's a different ability. That's pretty cool. That does add a little bit of replayability because there's quite a chunky deck of those, and I don't even think we've seen half of them in all the games we've played. So that adds an element of replayability. I've said it before, the game is very easily a family-friendly game, and I think my son will enjoy this, and I do think he'll get a nice amount of education out of it as well. Is this a game that when your niece grows up a bit, you think you could play at home?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? You think they'd enjoy it?
Yeah.
Cool. Final thoughts, I guess, James. Final thoughts on the games. What are your final thoughts?
It's very well produced, and it's a great little game. Yeah. Definitely recommend it.
Nice. Good. So I guess a recommendation from you. That's good. I would love to take this copy, or multiple copies of this game, to a library. Mm-hmm. I genuinely would love to take it to a library, like a special event or something like that, and actually play this game or teach this game to people that are really into the whole, reading books and all that, which I hold my hands up. I can't remember the last time I read a book properly. I read them occasionally, but I'm not...
Comic books don't count, Jason.
There's comic books on the table, James. It's close enough. But, the last time I walked into my local library was to go to the coffee shop that was in there. It wasn't to buy, to hire a book.
You went to a library for coffee?
Yes, I did. There's a really good coffee shop in our local library.
I didn't even know there was a coffee shop. Now, having said that, just spoiler alert, our town is rivaling East Grinstead for the amount of coffee shops that it has. Yeah. So I shouldn't really be surprised that there's one in the library.
Exactly. People that read books all day, they need their coffee. But yeah, I'd love to take it there and actually teach it to people like that, because I think this is a perfect gateway game to someone who might not have ever tried a board game, but is really into that whole genre of books and reading and literary worlds and all of that kind of stuff. Because again, it embodies that theme really, really well. Could you replace the theme? Probably. I said one earlier that I'd thought about. It was like, you could retheme this to Ghostbusters if you wanted
really
to.
Could. As soon as you said that, I just went, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There's multiple themes that you could do on this, but I like what it is. And do you know what? There are going to be some haters out there that aren't going to like the fact that this is a all-female character thing. They're not going to like the fact that it's based on books. They're not going to like the fact it's based in a library. But do you know what? It's a fresh thing that isn't trains, that isn't farming, that isn't, Marvel. All of these other games that we have an abundance of. This is a breath of fresh air. And do you know what? I don't like books all that much. I don't like reading.
You've actually got me
thinking. But I like this.
You've actually got me thinking now as what was the last book that I read?
Yeah, I can't remember. I think I remember reading the Gordon Ramsay book, or one of them. I know I've read a couple of wrestling books, and I think I used to read some Black Library stuff as well.
Yeah, probably some Black Library. It would have been the Horus Heresy stuff. That would have been the last, but I know that was technically an ebook, so I don't know if that counts to the purists.
It's still a book. It's still a book. Still a book. I mean, people just don't have the space for this kind of stuff.
The last physical book I read was probably Harry Potter when it first came out.
Yeah, I've still got all those.
Still disappointed that they didn't make the last film, anywhere near as brutal as the book.
Yeah, the book is amazing. So if you haven't ever read the actual books, of Harry Potter and you thought that the films ended really well, because they did. But if they'd done it as the books,
lots of the films by necessity had to cut out a lot of the stuff that was in the book.
Yeah, exactly. Last thing I'm going to ask you, James. We know that this is not out on retail just yet. We have a rough idea of what the price is going to be when it does hit retail. Is it worth the money?
I would say yes, for the amount of enjoyment you'll get out of it.
Yeah, I think it is. It gets my recommendation to play and to buy on this one. So really hope that a few people get this to the table. But anyway, that is Library Labyrinth. Have any of you out there managed to back this game and have received it? And have you managed to play it? Let us know what you think of the game and its components. Are we dead wrong? More than likely, we're pretty good at being wrong. Aren't we, Jason?
We don't admit that, Jason.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I might cut that out in post. So we'll see. But yeah, that is Library Labyrinth. Let us know what you think about it on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the Discord. Shall we head off for this week, James?
Let's do it.
Because I would say that we'll play a game, but I know my partner is now home from work, because I did hear the door as she came home. So we might end up playing a game of Library Labyrinth before you disappear off. So we will see. But we've been nattering for nearly an hour, so it is time to say goodbye.
It is.
Till next week, I have been Jason.
And I'm James.
And you have been listening to the Meeple Minded podcast. Join us next week for more tabletop gaming goodness. Ta-ta and goodbye.